सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपात्तमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवं परमानन्दमाधवम्। The topic under discussion yesterday was what is the means of attaining devotion. So it was concluded that mere knowing alone will not do. We have to do spiritual sadhana. Doing is important, not just collecting information. So what has to be done? Sadhana has to be done. What do you mean by sadhana? So, there are two aspects in sadhana. One is detaching from the world, the other is attaching to God. What do you mean detaching from the world? Tattu vishayatyagat sangatyagat cha. What do you mean attaching to the world, attaching to God? Abhyavrata bhajanat. So the choice is ours. What do we want to choose, the world or God? If you choose world, then you will get world. If you choose God, you will get God. Whatever be the choice, the method is to constantly think of that. You constantly think of the world, you become worldly and the world will surround you. You constantly think of God, you will become God. This is the law. Choice is given to us. So why is this world today? Why are we in this world today? Somewhere in the past we have chosen the world. So in the present we are exposed to this world. Somewhere in the past we have never chosen God, so therefore today we are not experiencing God. As Ramakrishna Paramsa used to say, as long as the child is busy playing with the toys, as long as the child loves the toys, so long what will the mother do? She will not come in front of the child. She has a lot of work to do. She will be in the kitchen busying herself. So the child cries, mother comes, gives another toy. Again the child is busy with another toy. So this goes on and on and on. So too in this world also there are so many toys. Different kinds of toys. Different shapes, sizes. Kamini, Kanchana, Kirti, in short. These are all the different toys. We are not fed up by playing with all these. One life is not enough for us. So life after life, we keep on playing with these toys, not getting fed up. This game can go on and on and on. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam can happen, keep on happening, till we are fed up with these toys. So how will the child show that the child is fed up with the toys? The child will start crying. Any kind of wonderful, attractive, fascinating toy will not attract. He will just throw it away. At that time, mother understands. He is fed up. Now he wants me. Then what does the mother do? She comes running, isn't it? So too, we have to give an indication to the Lord that we are fed up with all this. We want you. So that is that prayer. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi Janani Jathare Shayanam Iha Samsare Bahudustare Kripaya Pare Pahi Murare. Bhagavan, enough of lying in the womb of the mother. This samsara is very difficult to cross over. Please, please save me. So this prayer from the depth of the heart, it should come. How much ever this world may have a conducive atmosphere, still this world cannot give happiness. Even Kunti Mata, what was her prayer? She had wonderful children. Pandavas were their children. And what is her prayer? Atha Vishveshva Vishwatman Vishwamurte Swakeshu me Sneha Pashamimam Chindi Dridham Pandushu Vrishnishu. Bhagavan, He Vishvesha, He Vishwatman, O Self of all beings, O Lord of the whole world, please do one favor for me. What is her prayer? Sneha Pasham Imam Chindi. Cut off the Sneha Pasha, the cord of attachment. Bhagavan, I am so attached. To whom? Pandushu Vrishnishu. I am so attached to my own children, Pandavas and the Yadavakula, all those relatives. I am so attached to them. So therefore, I am not able to break this attachment. You cut it off. So this is a very strange prayer. Pandavas were such a nice children for Kunti Mata. Embodiment of righteousness, but still, what does she feel? Even this attachment to such wonderful children is becoming a bondage. Tvaime vishaya matir madhupate sakrit ratim udbhata daddha gangaivo ghamudanvati. And what is her prayer? Bhagavan, cut off this attachment which I have towards my children, and may my mind constantly think of you. May the thoughts in my mind constantly flow towards you, just like Ganga flowing towards the ocean. This way, let my mind single-pointedly seek you. This prayer comes in Kunti Stuti of Srimad Bhagavatam. So what is she asking? The same thing. Bhagavan, help me detach from the world, help me attach to you. She had the kingdom. Pandavas were ruling the kingdom. She had all wonderful children. As far as the environment was concerned, absolutely conducive. Literally, she was ruling the kingdom. Yudhishthira was at her feet. Yudhishthira, the emperor of the whole world, was at her feet. But then, was she happy? This world is such. Whatever you get in this world, you can never be happy. Bhagavan himself calls his world Anityam Asukham Ashashvatam. This world is of this nature. So therefore, once having got this clarity that Bhagavan alone can give me happiness, what is it that we have to do? Detach from the world. Detach from the world means detaching from the sense objects, detaching from all the attachment to living beings. Now please understand, this detachment doesn't mean indifference to our near and dear ones. Detachment doesn't mean hatred. Please understand, you are loving them, you are serving them, you are performing all your duties, but at the back of the mind, very clear that all these relationships are impermanent. You can't rely on them for permanent happiness. This is the meaning. All your duties, you are doing it beautifully well, but inside the understanding is very clear. So this is called as healthy detachment. Detachment should be healthy detachment, not unhealthy. Anyway, this relationship is impermanent, let me leave and go. Not like that. Such a person can never progress in spirituality. Such a person is called a heartless person. Such a person, he can never progress. You are loving everyone, serving everyone, you are humble, you are really loved by everyone, but at the same time, you are in touch with the reality. This is the meaning. So these two, then avyavrita bhajanat, constantly keeping the mind in the Lord. This has to be trained. This has to be trained even when we are healthy. At a very young age itself it should be trained, because at the time of death there is no guarantee unless we have made this samskara very strong, the samskara of remembering the Lord. At the time of death we will not be able to remember Bhagavan. Antakale cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram yaf prayati samadbhavam yati nastyatra samshayah. Bhagavan's promise is, at the time of death, the person who remembers me, when he leaves the body, definitely he will reach me. Now the problem is, what is the guarantee? At the time of death we can remember Bhagavan. Prana prayana samaye kapavata pittaihi kantavarodhana vidho smaranam kutaste. At the time of death, when kapha, vata, pitta, etc. choke your throat, at that time, Bhagavan, how can we remember you? There is so much of struggle at the body level. Very difficult. So unless this avyavrita bhajanam has been practiced, very difficult to remember God. So therefore, at a very young age, frequently, intensely, sincerely, wholeheartedly, this has to be done. But Bhagavan, where do we get the inspiration? Yes, through Shravanam, you get Shravanam and Kirtanam. So what has to be done? Loke api. Even in this world, as you are fulfilling the responsibilities and duties, you don't have to run away from the world. Not necessary. Loke api bhagavat gunashravana kirtanat. What has to be done? Bhagavad Guna Shravana Kirtanam has to be done. So yesterday we had seen, only when we listen to satsang, only then we will know all the secret. That there is a purpose in life, we will come to know only through satsang. Otherwise we will think life is nothing but study in the college, get job, get married, children, grandchildren, finished. As far as the majority of the people are concerned, this is the goal of life. In fact, there is no goal. It is just going. Everybody is doing, so I am also doing. Unless somebody tells us that no, there is a great purpose of life. Unless somebody tells us, we will never be able to know. So therefore, Shravanam is important. The importance of spirituality. The importance will come to know only through Shravanam. And through Shravanam, Kirtanam must happen. This path should become clear to us. This goal should become most important to us. Then that is Kirtanam. But for that, what is necessary? Somebody who is already in this path. Somebody who has already mastered this path. Somebody who can really inspire us. From such a person we must listen. So therefore, what is said? Mukhyatastu mahat kripaya eva. The importance of Mahatma's kripa, Bhagavat kripa, is pointed out here. Mahat kripaya. But the problem with this Mahatma is, what are the problems? Mahat sangastu durlabha, number one. Very, very rare to find them. Even if you find them, agamya. To get in tune to that person. There's a very interesting verse which says, Kvachit shishta kvachit bhrashta kvachit bhuta pishachavat nana rupa dhara kaula vicharanti mahitale. Meaning, all kinds of Mahatmas are there in this world. Kvachit shishta kvachit bhrashta. Some are very refined in character. Such Mahatmas we find. Some are terrible nature, totally unrefined. And some Bhuta Pichachavat, like Bhutas, and they are all great Mahatmas. So Nana Rupa Dhara Kaulaha, varieties of Mahatmas are wandering on this earth. So Agamya, very difficult. Finding a Mahatma itself is difficult, very rare. Even if you find a Mahatma who can inspire us in this path, still difficult. Agamya. As we said yesterday, the greatness of a Mahatma, it's very difficult to appreciate because these Mahatmas are absolutely ordinary. They are so humble, so simple that you miss that person. A person who is very humble, it is difficult to measure the depth of that person. It is very easy to detect the hollowness of an egoistic person, but it's very difficult to understand the depth of an egoless person. Very difficult. They appear so simple, so humble, because throughout their sadhana, this is what they have done. Bhagavan, I am a nobody. So Bhagavan became so happy, he made him one with him. Now this person appears to be so humble and simple that there is all the possibility you will miss him. As they say, the greatness of true spirituality is not walking on water or walking in the sky. It is all about walking on the earth. A beautiful quote, Chinese proverb or something. Walking on earth means what? Being in touch with the reality. That is called realization. So these people appear to be so ordinary, and we are always looking for something extraordinary. If you say realize, man, there is something extra, and you don't find anything. He appears so simple and humble that you miss him. As far as he is concerned, he will never show his greatness. As far as others are concerned, others will never understand his greatness. This is the problem. To understand the greatness of a great man, you should be to some extent great. And as far as in this case it's concerned, greatness means humility, purity, devotion. So agamya, very difficult. Or agamya also means our own negativity prevents us from seeking guidance from them. Our own negativity. We have strange ideas about these Mahatmas. In the society, normally people think these sadhu Mahatmas are people who are failures in life. Something must have happened. Some girl must have ditched him. That's why he has taken this path. Now, these are all the very... Some failure must have happened. Some business failure. Some family problem. Therefore, to escape from all this problem, he has come. He is an escapist. So these are all the common opinions we find in the society. These are escapists from life, good for nothing fellow, failures in life, burdens in the society. Now, with this attitude, if you approach a Mahatma, what is the use? He may be a great Mahatma, maybe he is an avatar himself, but I am not going to benefit. Agamya. But if we keep on with an open-mindedness, if we can remain with such a person, learn from such a person, then the result is amogha. Definitely you will get the result. 100%. That association can never go waste. That is the meaning, amogha. But what Bhagavan Naradji says, the next verse number 40. Labhyate api tat kripaya eva. Labhyate. So these Mahatmas are very, very rare, no doubt. But to come in contact with such Mahatmas, what is necessary? Tat kripaya eva. Only by the grace of God in life we come in contact with Mahatmas. Only by His grace. And what determines His grace? So yesterday we have seen, purer the mind, more easily His grace descends on us. So don't say, Bhagwan's grace is not there, therefore I have become like this. No, you are like this, therefore Bhagwan's grace is not there. Bhagwan's grace is always there. We have to prepare. So whatever little we have understood, let us try to put it into practice. Whatever little we have understood. Slowly you will find Bhagwan taking the initiative to guide us. We have to do whatever we have understood. So only by Bhagwan's grace, Mahatmas we obtain in our life. Now the question is, Naradji, or this question can be asked to Bhagwan also. Bhagwan, why do you choose Mahatmas to shower your grace? Why only Mahatmas? There are so many people in this world. Why you choose Mahatmas to shower your grace? If you ask this question to Bhagwan, this is the answer. Next sutra. Tasmin stajjane bheda bhavat. Yes. Why does Bhagwan choose Mahatmas to shower blessing on his devotees? This Bhagwan does because Tasmin stajjane, between Bhagwan and Tajjane, his people means his devotees, bheda abhavat, there is no bheda at all. There is no difference between Bhagavan and his devotees. Both are one. So if Bhagavan has to bless someone, he can't directly go because he is the very self of all beings. How can the subject become the object? Not possible. So what does he do? His devotees have become one with him, so he sends his devotees to bless those people. So Mahatmas coming into our life, and if you really value their presence, their guidance, their teaching, etc., understand Bhagwan's grace is there. There is no difference between Bhagwan and his devotees. There's a beautiful verse. Of course, in Bhagavad Gita, Bhagwan himself says. What does Bhagwan says? Jnani to atmaiva me matam. Bhagwan says. Jnani to, it is me only. He is my own self. Then Bhagavatam also, there's a beautiful verse. This happens in that Ambarisha episode. So this Durvasa Rishi, he becomes angry with Ambarisha. He tries to kill him. But what happens is, the Sudarshana Chakra starts chasing Durvasa Rishi. And he was running from pillar to post to all divinities. He went to Brahmaji. Brahmaji said, no, I am not, I am helpless. Finally, he goes and falls at the feet of Vishnu. Vishnu said, even I am helpless. You have to go to Ambarish only. At that time, Bhagavan says a beautiful thing. What does he say? Sadhavo hridayam mahyam sadhunam hridayam tvaham madanyatte na jananti naham tebhyo managapi. So this is what Bhagavan tells Durvasa Rishi. Because this Rishi has done such a great crime against his devotee. Bhagavan said, Sadhavo hridayam mahyam. My heart is the sadhus and the sadhu's heart is me. There is no difference. Madanyatena jananti. They don't know anything other than me and I don't know anything other than them. Beautiful statement. Bhagavan is saying, I know only my devotees and my devotees only know me. We don't know anything else. To such an extent, we are one. So therefore, when you do a crime against my devotee, it is like doing crime against me only. So that total oneness is indicated here. That's what he said. Tasmin tajjane bheda bhavat. So that's how these Mahatmas get this great power to bless others. From where does this power come from? These Mahatmas have become one with Bhagavan. So therefore, all the power of Bhagavan flows through these Mahatmas. In fact, these Mahatmas are only instrument in the hands of the Lord. They by themselves, they don't have any personality. They are mere instrument in the hands of the Lord. So when Bhagavan has to bless somebody, he sends his devotees. He sends his, Jnani Bhaktas. Right, so therefore what? Verse number 42. Tadeva sadhyatam. Yes, it is repeated twice. Tad eva sadhyatam. That alone must be accomplished. That means what? So here we can have two meanings. Mahatmas must be served. We must be at the feet of the Mahatmas. Tadeva sadhyatam. That has to be accomplished. Only then that bhakti can be gained. Tadeva may also can mean that bhakti. That alone has to be accomplished in life through the association of Mahatmas, through Sat Sangat, through Mahat Sangat. So here that topic gets over. So the importance of Mahatmas, the importance of Satsang has been highlighted. Next, after glorifying Satsang, now Naradji criticizes Dussang, just the opposite. Verse number 43. Dussanga sarvatha eva tyajyah. Dussanga, evil company, evil association, sarvatha eva, at all times, at all places, at any condition, tyajyah, one must give up, abandon. Just like satsang can elevate a person, dussang can do the just reverse. It can make a person fall. Dussang. But Naradji, please tell me what happens in dussang. You say it should be given up, abandoned. Why? So the reason is given in the next sutra. Sutra 44. Kama krodha moha smriti bhramsha buddhinasha sarvanasha karanatvat. Yes, the ladder of fall is given. So when we listen to this sutra, what are we reminded of? Second chapter, isn't it? Almost all the terms are similar. Dhyayato vishayan pumsah sangasteshu pajayate sangat sanjayate kamah kamat krodho vijayate krodhat bhavati sammohah sammohat smriti vibhramah smriti bhramshat buddhinashah buddhinashat pranashyati. Almost similar terms are used here. So this is called the ladder of fall. If possible, try to by heart it. So as we fall, this verse we should be able to recollect. So what is the first one? Kama. So what happens due to dussanga? So that has to be related. Kama. So there what he said, Dhyayato vishayan sangaha. When we remember about these vishayas, the sense pleasures, the sense objects. So what happens in dussanga? Always the talk is about all these worldly things only. Kamini, Kanchana, Kirti. So constantly the mind is involved in it. Manasa vacha karmana, you are in the world. This is what is happening in dussang. Anything which takes us away from God is dussang. Anything which attaches our mind to world is dussang. This has to be understood. So what happens? Kama. Kama means worldly desires. Kama. Then what happens when the worldly desires are not fulfilled? Krodha. And when anger comes, what happens? Moha, delusion. What happens when delusion happens? Smriti bhramsha, loss of memory. What happens when the memory lost? Buddhinasha. We don't know what should be done, what should not be done, what is right, what is wrong. All these decisions are taken by buddhi. And how does the buddhi take decision? By accessing the memory. Now memory is gone, so buddhi is also gone. Then what happens? He does something stupid, something immoral, something wrong. Sarvanasha karanatvat. Everything is gone. Now what do you mean sarvanasha here? So there, Bhagavan Shankaracharya beautifully says, what do you mean sarvanasha? Sarvanasha means a human birth is given to him. This birth could have been utilized to evolve spiritually, It could have been used to attain liberation, but this person misses that opportunity. This is called Sarvanasha. There it is said Buddhinashat Pranashyati. The same Pranashyati is put as Sarvanasha here. What is Sarvanasha? Sarvanasha doesn't mean wealth is gone. Of course that will go. But that is not a real loss. Wealth will go, health will go, time will go, peace of mind will go. That is fine. But real loss is not that. The real loss is life goes away without realizing the highest. This is the greatest loss. Not life goes, lifetime goes. Lifetimes go. So many lives. This is the real loss. Wealth lost, you can get it back. Health lost, you can get it back. But lifetimes, my God. So this is called a Sarvanasha. A wonderful opportunity is given. He is born as a human being. There is no guarantee that next birth will be of human being, because which prarabdha fructifies we don't know. So therefore, dussangaha sarvatha tyajyaha. But Naradji, once in a while it's okay, no? Now see the next sutra. Sutra number 45. Tarangaita api ime sangat samudra yanti. Yes. So what is this nature of dussanga? First it comes as a taranga. Taranga means a ripple, a small wavelet. Tarangaita. In the beginning, it comes as a small wavelet. But finally, sangat, with this dussanga, slowly, this wave becomes a tsunami. It is at samudrayanti, it becomes a samudra. So what is tsunami? When a wave becomes the ocean, that is called tsunami, isn't it? The wave expands, becomes bigger, almost the entire ocean is backing that wave. A small wave becomes like an ocean. This is what happens with dussanga. In the beginning we say, it's okay. This it's okay is very dangerous. Slowly, everything appears to be okay only. Even the greatest crime, if you are in the company of criminals, even the greatest crime appear to be nothing. You don't feel that conscience prick. The company is very, very important. In what company you are. When the son sees the father smoking, the son feels, what is wrong? He will also, in the beginning he will roll pieces of paper, and here and there he will do foo-foo, and slowly he will take that, cigarette butts, and slowly a time comes when in front of his father only he will start smoking. From where did he learn this? From his own father. It's called a dussanga. Whatever sangha does, we tend to do that. This is the nature of sangha. If everybody is doing, I also feel like doing it. There is no logic for it. Please understand. The sangha is such that whatever others do, whatever the majority do, I tend to do it. Why are these youngsters tearing their jeans pant here and there? Horrible jeans pant. Almost literally it is yellow color. That is the fashion. Everybody is doing. So I also. You ask him, why are you doing it? Such a nice pant, why are you tearing it? There is no answer. This is called a sangha prabhava. So many places they make holes and put all kinds of these things. Why do they do it? Don't ask why. If you ask them, go to temple, then they will ask why. But for all these things, they will never ask why. The moment they are asked to do something which they dislike, immediately they become rational and logical and all. But things which they like, the sangha prabhava is terrible. A person who is born in a family which eats non-veg, he will very comfortably, he will become a non-vegetarian. Why? Sangha prabhava. Isn't it? A person who grows up in a family which is very cruel, he will also become cruel. He will never have any difficulty in killing an animal or a bird. That conscience prick doesn't come. A family where everybody is talking using bad words, the child also picks up that bad word and he will never feel any. But suppose in a cultured family, that child will, yo. Yeah, isn't it? Sangha Prabhava is terrible. It is true with everything. Some research they had done. So they had found that people who are watching all these action movies, they tend to have anger, revenge, etc. naturally. People who are seeing all these vulgar sexual movies, their kama vasanas are very intense. People who are watching all these ghost movies, etc., they are naturally fearful. So the research, they show that whatever kind of thing you are exposed to, slowly that mind takes up that samskara. If this is the nature of the mind is like a cloth. You dip it in the dye, the color of the dye, this white cloth takes up. Mind is like a pure white cloth. You dip it and the mind behaves that way. If this is the nature of the mind, if this is the law, then what we should do? We should protect our mind from all kinds of unhealthy influences. This world is a mix of both. Good is also there, bad is also there. So what has to be done? Protect our mind from bad, expose the mind to the good. That's what the Upanishad says. Bhadram karne vishrunuyama devaha bhadram pashyema akshabhir yajatraha. O Lord, may we hear what is auspicious, may we see what is auspicious, so that these auspicious samskaras, divine samskaras, get into our mind. So dussangaha sarvatha tyajyaha. Sarvatha, even if you are advanced in spiritual path, even then, right, be only with the good people. Expose yourself to everything good. Good books, good programs. Make use of the technology, nothing wrong. But let it divinize your mind. Such programs you see, such programs you watch, such books you read, such people you come in contact with. It is our responsibility to keep our mind pure, sacred, holy, divine. It is our responsibility. What has to enter into the mind, we have to decide. Nobody else can decide for us. The gate should be closed if the impure is coming in. The gate should be wide open for everything good, noble and auspicious. So therefore, dussangaha sarvatha tyajyaha. Now what is said here, even a ripple becomes an ocean. Don't even allow even a wee bit to enter into the mind, because this is the nature of the mind. See that dhyayato vishyan, only one dhyanam, vishaya dhyanam leads to what? Nasham. First it comes as a thought, then it comes as a desire, then the desire becomes a preference, then the preference becomes a liking, then the liking becomes intense liking, then the intense liking becomes craving, then the craving becomes addiction, and then a time comes when you say, I can't live without it. Addiction, after that, life. This is my life. From where has it started? One thought. Ask all these chain smokers and drug addicts and all that. How did it all start? Tarangaitame, one ripple. What's there? Once I will smoke, or once I will take, I don't know. What all things they use now, I don't know. All advanced things have come, it seems. Drugs and all that. Everything starts with, let me try once. What is there in trying once? This is called as Tarangaita. So therefore, it is always better to keep away from dussang. Now Naradji takes up a topic. Who crosses this Maya? Who crosses Maya? Let us see. Verse number 46. So many factors are given which all the sadhaks must keep in mind. Kastarati kastarati mayam yas sangam tyajati yo mahanubhavam sevate nirmamo bhavati. So this is one part of the answer of this question. So what is the question? Kastarati kastarati mayam. Who will cross over Maya? Who will cross this Maya? So many factors are given. Number one, yaha sangam tyajati. The one who gives up sangha, association. Which sangha? Satsanga or dussanga? So, dussangam tyajati. That has to be understood. Not mahatsanga. Then, yo mahanubhavam sevate. Those who serve mahanubhavam. Mahanubhavam means what? The Mahatmas. Why that term? This term is also beautiful. Mahanubhava means those people, anubhavam. Anubhavam means experience. Those people who had the experience, anubhavam of that Mahan is called Mahanubhavam. Who is that Mahan? Bhagavan. Mahan means great. Mahan means big. So the one who had the anubhavam of Mahan is called Mahanubhavan. The one who had the experience of the great. So, nothing but the Mahatmas. Yo Mahanubhavam sevate nirmamo bhavati. Those who become nirmama, free from mineness. M-I-N-E-N-E-S-S. Nirmama. Mamatvam is not there. This is mine. That feeling is not there. We will take up the next two verses also, because there are so many factors given. Verse number 47. Yo viviktasthanam sevate yo lokabandham unmulayate yo nistraigunyo bhavati yo yogakshemam tyajati. Verse number 48. Yaha karma phalam tyajati karmani sanyasyati tato nirdvandvo bhavati. Yes, up to this we will see. So these are all the different factors which we have to keep in mind. So what is the first one? Kastarati kastarati mayam. Who will cross over Maya? Number one, yaha sangam tyajati. First step. What is first step? Give up dussang. Merely giving up dussang will not do. Along with it, yaha mahanubhavam sevate, meaning do satsang. This is the first step. First step in spirituality is satsang. This is what Bhajagovindam also says, isn't it? What is that verse? Satsangatve nissangatvam nissangatve nirmohatvam nirmohatve nischalatatvam nischalatatve jivan muktihi. So where does it start? Satsangatve. So the same thing is said here. Sangam tyajati mahanubhavam sevate. Give up dussang, do satsang. In satsang what will happen? Knowledge will come. Right understanding will be gathered. Shravanam will happen. Kirtanam will happen. You will be inspired to do bhajanam. Mahanubhavam sevate. Then what will happen? Nirmamo bhavati. See the next one. Nirmamo bhavati. What will happen? You will come to know that nothing is mine. In fact, this is the capsule form of the entire knowledge. What is the problem which we are facing? The root cause of all problem is mamatvam. This is mine. So starting from the body, the mind, the intellect, the possessions, the positions, everything. This is mine, this is mine, this is mine. In satsang, what is the knowledge you get? Nothing is mine. Nirmamaha. Nothing is mine. Everything belongs to the world. Then what is mine? There is only one thing which is yours. It is God. So in the bhakti literature, what will we say? In bhakti, we will say, God is mine and I am God's. If it is jnana, you will say, consciousness is me. Language is different, but it is the same. Hold on to Bhagavan, because Bhagavan is yours, he will never leave you. He is the very self in you. If you hold on to anything other than Bhagavan, that will have to leave. And then sorrow will be the result. So, nirmamaha, nirmamo bhavati. So, if you really do satsang, you will understand this as a very central teaching. Now, how to practice? See the next one. Yo vivikta sthanam sevate. Sutra number 47. How to practice it? So, practice consists of two aspects. The first aspect is taking care of the mind. The second aspect is living in the world. Number one, take care of your mind. Number two, how to live in the world. How to take care of your mind, how to live in the world. Two aspects. So, how to take care of your mind? Sutra number 47. How to live in the world? Sutra number 48. So, what does Sutra number 47 say? After you have gained the knowledge through satsang, what you have to do? Yaha vivikta sthanam sevate. Vivikta sthanam means what? Solitude. Now and then go to solitude. Find time for yourself. Find time for spiritual practice. Don't be so busy in the world that you have no time for God. No, don't do that. Vivikta sthanam sevate. Now and then go to solitude, where you are alone, where you can withdraw your mind, where you are free from all kinds of responsibilities, at least for some time, every day. It's very important. Some time in the day, we should have it only for ourselves. Vivikta sthanam sevate. Be in solitude. In solitude, what are you supposed to do? Yo lokabandham unmulayati. In solitude, you have to think about all those noble things you have heard in that satsang. And you have to meditate upon it. You have to think about it. What has to be thought? Now, what is said here? Lokabandham unmulayati. Unmulanam means uprooting. What has to be uprooted? Lokabandham. Bandha means bondage. Bandham also means relationship. Lokabandham. Your relationship with the world. So what are you supposed to do in solitude? Think of these things. Everything of the world is impermanent. This body is also impermanent. Where have I come from? Where will I go? What is the purpose of life? Whatever is there in and around me, everything is going to go. Pay attention to these realities. That is how this unmulanam has to be done. I am so attached to the world now. This attachment will not allow the mind to withdraw. It's constantly going towards the world. So how to put an end to this attachment? By meditating upon the defects of the world. If the mind is attached to the world, teach the mind, educate the mind that the world is full of defects. What are the defects? Defects of worldly knowledge. What is the defect of worldly knowledge? Nahi nahi rakshati dukran karane. Samprapte sannihite kale nahi nahi rakshati dukran karane. All this worldly knowledge is not going to help me at the time of death. This is the limitation of worldly knowledge. Then worldly wealth. What is the limitation? Artham anartham bhavaya nityam nasti tatas sukhaleshas satyam Mudha jahihi dhanagama trishnam Guru sadbuddhim manasi vritrishnam. What is the limitation of wealth? What I really want is peace of mind. Wealth cannot give. Wealth can definitely meet my needs. There is no doubt about it. Roti, kapada, makan. They are all the needs. Yes, wealth can give you. But after that, once the needs are fulfilled, wealth has no place as far as peace of mind is concerned. Right? So understand the limitation of wealth. Then, limitation of worldly existence. Nalini dalagata jalamati taralam tattva jeevitam atishaya chapalam. Life is so fickle, so uncertain, like the droplet playing on the lotus petal. When we are going to die, we don't know. Meditate on that. Be serious. that this life which I am having now, there is no guarantee it will be there. Next breath it will be there, there is no guarantee. Nishwase nahi vishwasaha, it is said. There is no, trust in the breath. The breath which I have taken in, whether it will come out, there is no guarantee. This is the kind of existence we are having, worldly existence. Limitation of worldly existence. Meditate upon it. Limitations of worldly love. All love is conditional love only. There is nothing called permanent, unconditional love. Not there. Yavat vitto parjana saktaha tavan nijaparivaro raktaha pascha jivati jarjaradehe vartam prachati kopinagehe. These are limitation of worldly love. Then limitation of worldly relationships. Every relationship has a beginning, it will have an end, whether we like it or not. Meditate upon that. So what happens is, all these things can be done only in Vivikta Sthanam. When you are alone, withdraw. All those things which you have listened in satsang, meditate upon it, think about it. Because if you don't think about it, then when tragedy strikes, you will not be prepared to handle it. So make the mind educated, prepare it. Such a prepared mind can take any shock without really getting agitated. The mind should be always educated with regard to the limitations of the world, defects of the world. Slowly what happens? This unmoolanam happens. Lokabandham unmoolayati. Remember, this is not a very pessimistic approach. The other thing also should be remembered. When you are meditating on the impermanence of the relationship with the world, you should also meditate upon the permanence of the relationship with God. Both should go together. Worldly existence is uncertain, but divine existence is infinite. On one side you see the defect of the world, on the other side you see the advantages of developing relationship with God. Both should go together. Otherwise it will be a very pessimistic attitude. After meditation you come out very sad and depressed and all. Why? Because you have meditated upon the negativities of the world. So you come out negative and give negativity to everybody. Don't do that. As and when you are meditating on the negativity of the world, the limitations of the world, meditate on the other aspect also. Then only you will be cheerful, joyful. Lokabandham, of course, you have to uproot. But at the same time, Bhagavad Bandham also should become Dridha, firm. Though it is not mentioned, it has to be understood. So as far as the worldly attachments are concerned, this is one aspect which disturbs the mind. Have a healthy relationship with the world, very well being aware of the limitations of the world. Then what has to be done? Yo nistraigunnyo bhavati. Next, nistraigunnyo bhavati, the one who becomes nistraigunya, free from the three gunas. What do you mean three gunas? Here three gunas means the three types of desire: sattva, rajas, tamas. Be free from the desires of the world, whether it is sattvic, tamasic or rajasic. Three guna can also mean be free from the three moods of the mind. Sattvic, rajasic, tamasic, moods. Meaning, be a master of your mind. So, as far as the mind is concerned, let it be free from the attachments. Let it be free from the desires. And then, yo yogakshemam tyajati. Let it be free from the worries and anxieties about yoga and kshema. This is another aspect which disturbs the mind. What is yoga kshema? Yoga means apraptasya prapanam yogaha, praptasya rakshanam kshemaha. That which I don't have, I am trying to acquire it. That effort is called yoga. Acquisition is called yoga. Whatever I have, I try to preserve it. That is called a kshema. Acquisition and preservation. This is called yoga kshema. Throughout our life, this is what we do. What I don't have, I try to acquire. What I have, I try to maintain. Isn't it? Building a house is yoga. Maintenance of the house is kshema. Yoga kshema. Now what is said here? Yogakshemam tyajati. Yogakshemam tyajati means what? Don't acquire, don't preserve. No. As far as the worldly needs are concerned, of course you have to do yogakshemam. There is no other way. Everybody has to do yogakshemam. But the worries and anxieties related to yogakshemam has to be given up. Yogakshemam tyajati. How to give it up? Having firm faith in the Lord. The Bhagavan has sent me into this world, so whatever I need, He will provide. So freedom from all kinds of worries and anxieties. This is another aspect which disturbs the mind. So these are all different aspects which disturb the mind. Attachment to the world, various kinds of desires, and then worries and anxieties. Niryogakshemo bhavati. Yogakshemam tyajati. So a person who has firm faith in Bhagavan, he knows this, that dharma, artha, kama, moksha, all these things Bhagavan will do for me. What do you mean dharma, artha, kama, moksha? Whatever needs I have in the world, kama, He will give me. To fulfill the needs, whatever resources I need, money I need, wealth I need, artha, that He will give. In order to gain this wealth, I need not walk the path of unrighteousness. I will get it in the righteous way. Dharma. Dharma, artha, kama. Right? And this life is meant to attain moksha. So dharma, artha, kama, moksha. So this firm faith that I need not deviate from the path of dharma in order to get artha, so as to fulfill my kama, so that I can achieve the purpose of my life, moksha. This is called as yogakshema. Free from worries and anxieties. So if these things are taken, the mind is at peace. Such a mind is available for higher meditation. How to live in this world? Verse number 48. Yaha karma phalam tyajati karmani sannyasati. This is nothing but the essence of karma yoga. What is the essence of karma yoga? Karma sannyasam, karma phala sannyasam. Bas. What do you mean karma sannyasam? Giving up action? No. Don't give up action. Give up the sense of doership in action. Whatever duties are there, responsibilities are there, you must do, there is no choice. But when you are doing what you should say, Bhagavan, I am only an instrument, you are the doer. So this is called as Ishvara Arpana Buddhi. We have studied it in 3rd chapter. The entire 3rd chapter is summarized in one sutra here. When you perform action, Ishvara Arpana Buddhi, do it as a worship of the Lord. That is called as karmani sanyasyati. When the result comes, what should be the attitude? Ishvara prasada buddhi. That is what is said here as karma phalam tyajati. When the karma phalas come, take it as prasad from Bhagavan. Whatever comes, Bhagavan out of His omniscience has given this karma phala to you. Never complain, never grumble. Whatever you deserve, that is what is being given to you. This is called as karma phala tyagam. When you are performing action, the purpose of performance of action is not the result. The purpose of performance of action is purity of mind. So be a karma yogi when you are performing action. If you do this way, tato nirdvando bhavati. If you do this way, then you will become nirdvandva. Nirdvandva means what? Free from dvandva. Dvandva means pairs of opposites. What are the pairs of opposite? Heat, cold, joy, sorrow, victory, defeat, gain, loss, honor, dishonor. This is what is world. All these things will keep on coming to nirdvandva. Doesn't mean that these pairs don't come. No, it will come. But even when it comes, your mind will not be disturbed. This way we must live. Next verse concludes this topic. Verse number 49. Yo vedanapi sanyasyati kevalam avichinnanuragam labhate. Yes, yo vedanapi sanyasyati. the one who gives up the Vedas also. Now what does it mean? It can have two meanings. Yo Vedanapi sanyasyati means, number one, those people who give up Vedas, who give up the Karma Kanda portion of the Vedas. What does the Karma Kanda portion say? Do this ritual, fulfill this desire. So the whole Karma Kanda portion is all about fulfilling your desire and becoming happy. The whole of Karma Kanda portion is making God the means and world the goal. Do you want to be happy? Fulfill this desire, you will be happy. This is Karma Kanda. So Vedanapi sanyasyati means giving up Vedas. Which part? Not the Jnana Kanda, the Upanishad part. Giving up the Karma Kanda portion. This is one meaning. The second meaning is, after some time you have to give up the Upanishad portion also. Giving up means what? Don't keep on reading the book again and again. Put it into practice. This is the meaning. Don't become a bookworm. Studying the map, it is necessary, but don't keep on studying the map and not going to the place. The purpose of studying the map is so that you can go to the place easily, but going to the place is important, isn't it? In the same way, studying the scriptures necessary, but a time should come when practicing should be given more importance. That's why Amrita Bindu Upanishad says, Grantham abhyasya medhavi jnana vijnana tatparaha palalamiva dhanyarthi tyajed grantham asheshataha. Grantham abhyasya medhavi, the intelligent one, what he should do? Grantham abhyasya, study the scriptures. But then, after that, tyajed grantham asheshataha, keep all the granthas aside, scriptures aside. Just like palalamiva dhanyarthi. A person is interested in dhanyam, grain. So what he should do? So there is that outer covering, that chaff. Inside the grain is there. So what you have to do? You have to give up that chaff and take the grain. In the same way, scriptures have to be studied. Get a clear understanding. Remove all the doubts. Keep the scriptures aside. Get into the world of action. Practice it. Do sadhana. This is the meaning Vedanapi sannyasati. Such a person, now all these point together. Giving up dussanga, taking up satsanga, then nirmama, then vivikta sthanam sevanam, then giving up attachment to the world, giving up the desires, giving up all the worries and anxieties, performing action as a worship of the Lord, karma phala, giving up. Those who put into practice all these, such a person, what happens to him? Kevalam avichinna anuragam labhate. Such a person gets avichinna anuragam. Avichinna means unbroken. Anuragam means bhakti. Supreme devotion. Kevalam. Kevalam means pure devotion. Single pointed devotion. Unbroken devotion. Uninterrupted devotion. Pure, unbroken devotion. Kevalam means pure, single pointed. Avichinna means unbroken. Such a person definitely gains this kind of devotion, which we had spoken of in the beginning. Parama prema rupa, amrita swarupa. This bhakti he gains. But what is the use of gaining this bhakti? See the next one, verse number 50. Satarati satarati salokan starayati. Yes, satarati. Now where did we start? Kastarati kastarati maya. Here is the ending of that question. Satarati, such a person crosses over maya. Satarati, definitely. So whenever the repetition is there, understand it is definitely. There's no doubt about it. So whenever the scriptures have to emphasize something, they repeat it twice. Tadeva sadhyatam, tadeva sadhyatam. That way. That has to be done. So wherever the repetition is there, understand it is to emphasize that point. That person definitely crosses. Not only he crosses, so lokan starayati. He helps others to cross over. Not only that he will cross, he will help others also to cross. He becomes an instrument in the hands of the Lord to help others cross over. So here the answer to that question, kastarati mayam, ends. Now this is a very interesting thing. Here it is said, sadarati salokan stareti. So what first comes? First what comes is, let us cross over. Then let us think of, let us first transform ourselves, then let us try to transform others. What is the mistake we do? We try to reform others first. Isn't it? Everybody is busy trying to change others, reform others, correct others. Everybody is busy. Let us mind our own business. Satarati, then lokan stareti. As we reform ourselves, as we purify our mind, what happens? Our actions become pure, our words, our speech, everything becomes pure, and this reformation that happens in our personality becomes an inspiration for others to take the path of sadhana. This is how transformation is brought about. When we transform, we inspire others to transform. Looking at us, looking at our personality, other people make us a role model, and then they also are inspired to walk this path. Never has it happened that by preaching you change others. Never. We have to practice all this, and slowly, all those wonderful things what is promised here start appearing in our personality. And when these things appear, others watch, because this person will be a very different person from the rest of the world. There's a huge difference between worldly person and a spiritual person. Huge difference. In the beginning we have seen Trupto bhavati, Amruto bhavati, Atmaramo bhavati, Matto bhavati. Here is a person who is filled with contentment. He is filled with joy. He has nothing as far as a material possession is concerned. He has nothing, but still he is the happiest person. Anyone who comes near him, all the doubts are cleared and he goes back peacefully. He creates a beautiful world around him wherever he goes. Everybody is inspired. Everybody becomes happy. All the doubts are cleared. And here is a person who is totally contented. Minimum material possession, but maximum fulfillment. So when such people come in contact in our lives, we are inspired by such personalities. And then we also pass. Because if this person is happy, definitely he is right. What is the proof whether somebody is right or wrong? The proof is the amount of peace and happiness that that person radiates. Isn't it? So here is a person, difficulties are there, problems are there, but he is always smiling, always happy, always cheerful. We love to be in the company of such people who are always happy. So when we are in the company of such people, slowly, we also evolve. This is the way. Satarati salokan stareti. Bhagavan makes him the instrument to help everyone. The person who has become empty within, the person who has become egoless within, such an egoless personality becomes an instrument in the hands of the Lord to guide others, to send his message to the mankind. Satarati salokan starayati. Now another topic starts. What is that topic? We will see tomorrow. Om sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukkha bhag bhavet, asato ma sadgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityorma amritam gamaya. Om shanti shanti shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namah. Hari Om.